Hey, this is Mike from Junkie on Crafts and Builds, and this is the impressions video for the G.I. Joe Classified Series, number 94, Cobra Mole Rat. Now, it's been a while since I actually talked about a G.I. Joe Classified figure. I've been doing a lot of Action Force related stuff, but I'm happy to kind of get back into this groove of looking at Hasbro figures and seeing how they click. Now, Hasbro created this figure brand new for the Classified Series line to kind of go along with the Dark Energon storyline that is kind of going through a bit of a telling through the Skybound comic series for G.I. Joe and Transformers. This is kind of going along and helping to merge these two brands that Hasbro owns together. And Mole Rat is a brand new army builder type of figure, and it's actually pretty cool. I gotta thank G. Tony for providing me this, because I never got a chance to order one. He was sold out real quick, and I was ready to just kind of move on and say he won't be in my collection. So thank you again, G. Tony, for that. So let's go ahead and look at the box. Again, this is kind of like still in that part where we had the windowless packaging. As you know now, going forward, a lot of this stuff is getting a unified packaging across multiple Hasbro lines. But we have this really cool like digital render or digital photography of the character here up front, as well as this really cool piece of art of the Mole Rat. On this side, we have number 94 and this blow up of that really cool piece of art. On the other side is the QR code that does absolutely nothing and the little micro stats. So again, no one cares about that. And on the back, we kind of have the frame out of the figure. He is 6.3 inches or 161 millimeters tall. And we get some detail shots of the alternate head, the kind of technology that's on his suit, as well as all the accessories. So let's just go ahead and get him out of the box and start looking at those accessories now. So here we have the accessories for the Mole Rat all laid out in front of you here, and we're going to talk about each one pretty quick. So starting from the left, we have a really interesting looking little Geiger counter handheld device here, so he can check the radiation levels of the Dark Energon as he's going through mining and acquiring the material for Cobra. So no paint on it, but you know, simple enough detail for what it's going to do. Next, we have either it's a lantern or it's a Dark Energon container. Again, it's got this little dark purple shading here to kind of denote there's something inside it. You have a handle that moves and adjusts around. So again, pretty simple but effective for what it's going to do. Next we have his backpack, and this is really nicely detailed. It has a sculpted on air hose to go onto the body, and I'll show you where that goes when we get him on the figure. But again, it's neat, it's well sculpted. It's got these 3 fans. It's got 2 ports or 2 carrying handles here for equipment, as well as the peg in the back, and it's sculpted to fit the back of this this figure. Could just use a little more dry brush or something along the lines to bring out some depth to this backpack. Next we have his weapon or his multi-tool. This is the main body of it. Again, a nice decent enough sculpt. No paint or anything on it, just simple black plastic. But we get 2 attachments for it. One is this drill bit, which has a little bit, you can't really tell because of the light right now, but it has a little bit like a gunmetal finish on the drill bit itself. And we have a textured grip on the front. And then we also come with a laser rifle attachment that is blast effect compatible. Again, it's simple enough, all black plastic. Now both of them will fit into this notch on the main body, and I will tell you, once you get them on, it's in there. So this is the laser blaster together, and now we're going to put the drill bit attachment onto the front. And again, it's a very tight fit, but again, it's all well done. And this was wrapped, so it's fairly straight. It is still soft, but you know, hey, weapons that are straight are a good thing. Last thing is he has a pair of heads, and I wanted to bring them both out here to look at the same time. So looking at the 2 heads, the default head is this mutated Mole Rat head. Again, he was exposed to too much Dark Energon, and it affected his genetic code. So he has this growth kind of coming out of his head, as well as these dark purple with white irised eyes. Really cool, kind of slightly yellowed, crooked teeth, it's a really decent sculpt. I like it quite a lot. And then we have the default non-mutated head here with hose attachments. The mask does not come off, so we don't know what he looks like other than his mutated self here. But the goggles have that dark purple sheen to it, so that's pretty cool. And with this head accessory, we get a hose that will connect the head to the body, and we will show that once we get to the figure, which will be now. And here's Mole Rat with all his accessories on and the unmutated head. That way we can show where the hose placements are and any restrictions we have. But you can see he has his drill in his hand, and on the back here we have his backpack with those two storage spots for his Geiger counter and the we'll say dark energon container. He can store those on his back easily enough. So here we have Mole Rat's face close up with the hoses on. Now the backpack again has that already sculpted in hose, and that connects to the side of his head. There's a small port there. And then the other hose that goes into the regulator and into the mask plugs in at two ports here at the bottom of his face and on the chest itself. The only problem we have now is that this setup really truly restricts any sort of head movement we have unless you want to dislodge the hoses from the head. So if you have him in this configuration, he's basically going to look straight forward at you. He can't really look down much at all. Certainly can't look up. And like I said, if you turn him too much, the hoses are going to come off of him. So looking at the aesthetics of Mole Rat, it's an all new sculpt specifically for this army guy. And I think they did a really bang up job in making this filtered protective suit bulky and big and just really kind of science looking. So again, once we have the head on there, we have this silver collar that kind of wraps around. And then we have these sculpted hoses that go from the front here on this little box to the top part of his shoulder here. Looks really interesting. And like I said, we have this regulator device here for air filtration that goes to the backpack and up into the mask and out. We've got these little decorative pieces on his shoulders here. These arms are nice and big and bulky. We've got a cobra symbol here on this bicep. Moving down the body, we have these really big storage pockets or whatever on the upper body. Now again, that is a restrictive point when we get to articulation. Moving down to the lower body, we have this really nice textured sculpt for the legs. Again, we have pockets sculpted on both sides symmetrically. We are pinned in the knees, so take that as you will. And then this nice little frilled end kind of showing the sealant around the legs when you put the boots on. And the boots are nice and big and chunky as well. So overall, it's a really interesting sculpt, looking really cool. I can definitely see, or if you want to have 2 or 3 of these guys drilling or attacking, it's kind of cool. But we'll continue to look at this guy and how well he actually articulates next. So getting to articulation of Mole Rat, we'll start with the top with this unmutated head. It does go 360 degrees around, but due to the ball peg and the shape of the head, you can't really get any up or any down. It's very restrictive. Do get a slight tilt. We'll check all the articulation out again with the alternate head. And with the alternate head on, we get the same thing, 360, but nothing really up or down. Get a little slight tilt for the zombie look. Moving on to the shoulders, we get some really nice articulation for a T-pose. We get shoulder rotation, 360. It's not really built for a butterfly, but it is there slightly. We have bicep rotation, pinless double jointed elbows, and then we have wrist rotation and a vertical hinge on both hands, so he can hold his weapon a little bit easier. Next, we have a mid-torso dumbbell here for some upper body articulation. He can go back that far. He can lean forward a little bit, and if you can push it down a little bit, he can get just a slightly bit more of a range down and back, but that's about it. Because we have these buckles or pouches up front, that does restrict a lot of the articulation this guy has. Waist rotation is very tight on my copy. We have our drop hips that allow us to do the full split. We can kick up just shy of 90 degrees. We can go back that far before we start pulling out and going to the side. We have our regular thigh rotation. We have double jointed pinned knees. We have a upper boot cut here. And then for the ankles, we have a nice pivot with one click down, one click up for the ankles. Minus some limitations for this due to the sculpt, we got our typical classified series articulation. So of course, we're going to have our reoccurring segment called Will He Vala. And we're just going to do this real quick because I already know the answer to it, but just to show and be consistent across the board, we're going to take his head off and expose the ball peg. There we go. And we can automatically see that the ball peg at the top of the neck is much smaller than the hole in a Valaverse figure. But if you do set it on there and put some sticky tack, it is actually well proportioned for the body. So you could have a Action Force character dressed up, ready to go. If you want to remove that tampograph Cobra symbol, you could easily make this into an Action Force figure. So final impressions of the G.I. Joe Classified Series number 94 Cobra Mole Rat. For a brand new figure with new sculpting and a try into a storyline that's currently happening in media other than what's written on the back of these cards for the characters, this is a pretty decent mold. And it's a pretty interesting character and a really cool, unique way to have a new army builder in the Cobra ranks. Now, that being said, there are some limitations to this figure based on the accessories and the sculpt overall. There is zero head articulation, which really is unfortunate because this could go perfect with this alternate head and having some emotive actions where like you could have it as at a severe tilt or kind of like a lean forward or back or whatnot. What else is sorely missing from this figure is an alternate pair of hands. What would go perfect with this, especially in a pose like this, would be some open palms or some grasping palms or some sort of emotive hand set that kind of invokes that zombified, mutated type of person. That being said, the sculpt on this new buck is really good. I really like the little add-ons to the suit, the hoses that wrap around, the air regulator, the way that the boot cut shows kind of like a transition between the rubberized protective boot and the rest of the suit. Really cool. The alternate head sculpt is awesome. And if I had a black light here, I'd show you that it does kind of glow under that sort of black light. So that's a really neat little add-on and bonus you could have here. All the other accessories are, again, really well done, but very basic. There's no real paint or anything on that. All the deco is really on the figure, and especially this mutated head. So if you can find this guy, and he is still available on Walmart.com, he's not retail price anymore. He's a little more because I think this was actually a shorter run of this figure than anticipated. I know when he was initially released, he sold out very quickly. So if you want to get this guy, again, Walmart.com is the easiest way to get him. He's about 37 bucks now. And he can be really cool if you want to army build and have this type of mutated rank or just a rank and file miner going into stealing resources for Cobra or whatnot. But I wouldn't have this figure at all without the generosity of G Tony. So again, thank you very much for that. That's everything I have for this video. I hope you liked it. If you did, please like and leave a comment. And if you like what I'm doing here and you like some of the other videos I have on my channel, please subscribe. It'd be great to have you on board. So stick around, check out what I have, and I'll talk to you again soon. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.